Susune Rokuoin, the only daughter of the Rokuoin family renowned for producing generation of Vanguard professionals, likes to she's taciturn and rarely show her emotions. And the word taciturn definitely explains the choice of her deck, and that is Artisaria. As let's be real here, if you're gonna play this deck properly, you're gonna need a lot of strong decision making skill, unless you have money. But how good is this particular deck, and whether does bringing Lock back actually makes a difference? Well, we have to start off as usual with the Rideline, and this time round we can go through quite quickly because the grade 1 and the grade 2 are more or less the same skill, where when each of them is placed by riding from a specific unit, so grade 0 for the grade 1 and the grade 1 for the grade 2, review a grade 3 card with Artisaria in its card name from the right deck, search your deck for up to one sound system card, review it and put it into your hand and shuffle the deck. This is a very simple and very straightforward skill, as it does help you to get into what the deck is used the most, and that is sound system. And due to the characteristic of sound system, it works perfectly well as a discard cost. Why? The reason behind that is because of the grade 3 of the deck, Polyphonic Overdrive Artisaria. This unit has 3 skills where during your turn, if your order zone has 2 or more sound system, this get an additional crit, and add once per turn Energy Blast 2, shoot a card system from your hand or drop, put it into your order zone. If you put a card from hand, draw a card. And then last but not least, once per turn when this unit attack, you can counter blast 1 to call up to 1 Shadow Army token for each sound system in your order zone, and your front row get additional 5k until end of turn for every 2 sound system in your order zone. The card is, to be frank, amazing, in the sense that not only you have a pressure from the crit, but also the fact that you can actually play your order from your drop is actually a huge help, considering you need a lot of sound systems to actually generate Shadow Army token. And the power plus 5k is nice, just preventing it from being too vanilla in the turn where you did not get Persona right. But why exactly is people talking bad about this deck right now? Well, it is got to do with the sound system themselves, as we have both Shout in the Shadow and MEGARO. So for Shout in the Shadow, you get additional draw and 1 token when it is being played, and MEGARO help you to lock a rear guard. Of course, your opponent has to be grade 3 or greater. These 2 base effects are great. I mean, it doesn't cost anything else aside from needing to be played, but the problem with both of them is the fact that they cannot be played at all, and it can only be put on the order zone through Artisaria effects. What? What the fuck? So yes, the main problem with Artisaria is not really on herself, but rather on the sound system. That means that you are only able to play 1 set order per turn, unless there is more sound system coming up in the upcoming booster that allow her to play in a more frequent manner, or allow her to activate the same skill again. Then I think at the moment the deck can get very slow thanks to its own flaw.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
But fortunately enough, this is not the only niche that Artisaria is doing, as you can see with the 3 other support that she actually received. Starting off with the grade 3 that we have seen in the show already, and that's Sing to the Sky, Rock Roya. This unit has ability where when attacked, this unit gets 5k until end of battle for each of sound system in your order zone, and at the same time, when this unit is returned from hand from Record Circle during your turn, or retire from Record Circle during your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Artisaria in its card name, so blast 1 and choose one of your unit plus 5k until end of turn. Even though this is a common, this is actually an amazing card, because as of now, you have to gear your focus of Artisaria towards tanking. So having a card that essentially play better over time is actually a good thing. And like I said earlier, if we get more support that allow Artisaria to play more sound system more quickly, then this card value also go up over time, which is a little bit opposite to the triple R of the booster, and that is Devilish Flanker, sorry.
Failing on the highest level.
When this unit is played on the Record Circle or put on the card circle, if your order zone has a sound system, this gets 5k and 5k shield until end of turn. And then when this unit is returned to hand from Record Circle or retire from Record Circle during your turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Artisaria in its card name, counter blast 1, draw a card. You might see some common trend here where some of the Artisaria support has a skill that trigger when retire from Record during your turn or bounce during your turn. So essentially, the deck kind of encourages your use of cards like Yui Yuika or essentially Artisaria own playstyle of superior calling Shadow Army token, essentially helping the deck in the longer run. Though I'll have to say this is kind of stinks. Like yes, one draw and shield is good, but it's counter blast and the deck don't really counter charge unless you run a very specific support. So unfortunately, in my eyes, it is not that good and probably a priority target to be replaced if the new support is more needed. And last but not least is a double R, and just like any first double R in any of the Vanguard deck in general, they are generally very good to be played and they are normally very future proof. And this time is no different with Trailing Notes Reverbera. This unit has 2 skills where it gets 5k when you have a sound system in your order zone, and this is a constant. And then at the end of the battle, this unit is boosted. If your order zone has a sound system, you can put this into soul, choose one of your rear card and return it to hand. So this is one of a way for Artisaria to essentially bounce outside Yuika. So essentially the deck still somewhat playable even if you are not able to get Yuika, which is a good thing even if the deck kind of encourages you to have it. And now it is time to talk about whether is it good or is it bad. Well, it is a really tough deck to judge. Not only it is a deck that it just launched recently, but also it has its own quirk in a sense that sound system is actually pretty amazing and she played into it very well thanks to her ability to guarantee to play sound system once per turn. And not only that, the trigger effect of sound system are pretty good as it's kind of focused on either board building or control your opponent in a way using lock. I'm aware that I did not talk much about lock during this video, but let me just put it this way. The way it implemented is very balanced and effective enough as a way to slow down most of the game. So having this type of control to begin with is a huge plus for the deck. And this haven't considered the fact that the deck is actually quite in tune with the relical support, being able to more or less play some of the more modern generic support quite easily, despite being a very set order heavy deck. The problem with the deck though is the fact that right now it's slow as hell. The fact that you can only play one set order per turn is the biggest downfall of this deck. And because of that, you have to gear your focus towards defense, which is not a terrible thing if not for the fact that there's not a lot of cards in this deck that can help you in shielding as much, so your hand tends to dwindle down very quickly. And to make things worse, Artisaria doesn't really have a lot of resource recovery, which is something that they're gonna need a lot, especially if you have to use cards like Yuika to essentially optimize your playstyle. So yeah, just be prepared if you want to spend money on buying this deck, because so in front might be your best friend in certain cases. And of course, the counter blast use is quite a nightmare to handle because, you know, no counter charge. So yeah, this is definitely the deck that is not very easy for beginners because you really need to know how to read the field really well. Like sometimes lock is not the solution. Sometimes go for shout in the shadow that does give you innate draw might be the actual solution. But what do you guys think? If you have your own text choice of Artisaria, do leave down in the comments below. You know, share some love. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself, don't forget to clap that sub and become a member for some cool perks. This is Mac Meganet signing out.